Big draft news from the NFL. Quarterback Brendan Sorsby, who admitted to gambling on professional and college sports, including football, will not play in the NFL next season. The league has declined his application for the supplemental draft. The NFL sent a letter to NFL, has made theirs. What's your reaction?
The NFL made the absolute correct decision, and it wasn't worth it, Greeny. Sorsby may have won in some Fort Worth courthouse, but they didn't win in the court of public opinion, and they lost badly in a case. They didn't even try to camouflage what had gone on here, other than to say, hey, our guy went to rehab and he's fine. Wink and a nod, take our word for it. The NFL is not going to take their word for it. And they also read the room. Almost everyone's statement. I would think the NFL is going to give him a chance. I think the one thing we're forgetting is this is not Arch Manning. This guy has potential, but he, at this moment in time, is not great. That should have nothing to do with the ultimate decision, but I think it probably played into it, the fact that a lot of NFL clubs weren't even sure they wanted him. So I think he needs to prove more than...
That wasn't just the NFL making a roster decision. That was the most powerful sports league on the planet, slamming the door shut on a 23-year-old kid while simultaneously cashing checks worth billions of sports league dollars from the very same gambling industry they claimed to be protecting their game from. The NFL didn't just reject Brendan Sorsby's application for the supplemental draft, they buried it. They sent him a letter that read like a legal execution, stating that the issues presented by your petition are too significant and too closely tied to the league's core integrity interests to permit meaningful review. Core integrity interests. Let that phrase sit with you for a second, because by the time I'm done with this story, you're going to realize that the NFL's definition of integrity is the greatest con in the history of American professional sports. Let's start with the facts, because the facts alone are damning enough. Brendan Sorsby, a quarterback who played at Indiana and later transferred to Texas Tech, admitted to placing thousands of impermissible bets while in college, totaling at least $90,000. Court documents revealed he placed at least 40 bets on Indiana football games during his time as a freshman backup with the Hoosiers in 2022. He used family members and friends as proxies to place wagers on his behalf, including funneling money through a friend's FanDuel account. After transferring to Texas Tech, he reportedly sent approximately $5,000 to out-of-state proxies to place bets while he was physically in Texas. There is no sugarcoating this. What Sorsby did was wrong. Betting on your own team. Betting on your own teammates. That crosses a line that has been etched in stone since the 1919 Black Sox scandal. Every athlete in every sport knows that gambling on your own games is the one unforgivable sin. And Sorsby didn't just cross that line, he sprinted past it, turned around, and crossed it again. The NCAA declared him permanently ineligible. Sorsby sued, and a Texas judge granted a temporary injunction that would have let him play for Texas Tech with a 2-game suspension. The college football world erupted. The Big 12 Conference filed its own legal challenge. Almost every major figure in collegiate athletics condemned the judge's decision. Paul Feinbaum said it best on ESPN. Sorsby may have won in some Fort Worth courthouse, but they didn't win in the court of public opinion. And they lost badly in explaining their case. He called Texas Tech's administration complete fools for backing Sorsby's play. And he was right. Texas Tech rolled out the red carpet for a player with a gambling addiction, asked no hard questions, and told the world to just trust them. Wink and nod. Take our word for it. Our guy went to rehab, and he's fine. The NCAA and the public weren't buying it, and neither was the NFL. Sorsby dropped his lawsuit, abandoned his college eligibility, and filed for the NFL's supplemental draft. His application landed on the league's desk just 3 business days before the deadline. The NFL hadn't held a supplemental draft in years. There hadn't been one since 2023. And the league had zero plans to hold one in 2026 because no other player had applied. The only reason the NFL would have held a supplemental draft was for Brendan Sorsby. And the league looked at his application, looked at the gambling charges, looked at the rush timeline, and said, no, not now, not like this. The door to the 2026 NFL season slammed shut. Sorsby can try again in the 2027 regular draft. But even then, he will almost certainly face a suspension before he takes a single snap. His attorney, Jeffrey Kessler, one of the most prominent sports lawyers in the country, immediately fired back, calling the NFL's decision a violation of the collective bargaining agreement and promising to take the fight to the NFLPA. Now, here is where the story takes a turn that should make every single NFL fan uncomfortable. Because the NFL didn't reject Brendan Sorsby because they have some unshakable moral compass when it comes to gambling. They rejected him because he's a convenient sacrificial lamb in a system that is rotten to its core with gambling money. Let me show you the receipts. In 2025, total legal sports betting handle in the United States hit $166.94 billion, generating nearly $17 billion in revenue. The NFL is the single most wagered upon sport in the country. It is the engine that drives the entire American sports betting economy. And who profits from that? The NFL does. For years, the league has had official sponsorship deals with DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, and BetMGM. These aren't small. Behind-the-scenes partnerships, these are multi-billion-dollar agreements that plaster gambling logos across every broadcast, every stadium, every halftime show. You cannot watch a single NFL game without being bombarded by gambling advertisements. Bet now, live odds, prop bets, same-game parlays. The NFL doesn't just tolerate gambling, it actively promotes it, normalizes it, and profits from it on a scale that would make a Las Vegas casino owner blush. Total NFL team sponsorship revenue has reached $2.7 billion. And gambling firms have been one of the fastest-growing categories in that portfolio. The league entered April 2026 without an official sportsbook partner for the first time since it created the category in 2021. But that wasn't because the NFL had a sudden crisis of conscience. The deals with DraftKings and FanDuel expired because the two sides couldn't agree on the price of the NFL's official streaming data. It wasn't about morality, it was about money. The NFL wanted more. The sportsbooks didn't want to pay. And the partnership temporarily collapsed, not because the league decided gambling was bad, but because the league decided gambling wasn't paying them enough. Think about that for a second. The NFL is telling Brendan Sorsby, a 23-year-old college kid who admitted he has a gambling addiction and went through a 35-day residential treatment program, that his issues are too closely tied to the league's core integrity interests. Meanwhile, the league has spent the last 5 years telling its 200 million fans to download DraftKings, open a FanDuel account, and bet on every single play of every single game. The same league that suspends players for gambling is the same league that runs gambling ads during the Super Bowl. The same league that banned Calvin Ridley for an entire season for placing a few bets on NFL games while he was away from his team is the same league that collects hundreds of millions of dollars from the exact same gambling platforms. Ridley used to place those bets. If that isn't the definition of institutional hypocrisy, I don't know what is. Let's look at the NFL's track record on player gambling suspensions, because the inconsistency is absolutely staggering. Calvin Ridley, then with the Atlanta Falcons, was suspended for the entire 2022 season after he placed bets on NFL games over a 5-day period in November 2021. The NFL's own investigation found no evidence that inside information was used or that any game was compromised. Ridley was reinstated in March 2023. Isaiah Rodgers, a cornerback with the Indianapolis Colts, received an indefinite suspension through the 2023 season for betting on NFL games. The Colts cut him. He was reinstated in April 2024 and signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. Jameson Williams, the Detroit Lions' first-round pick, was suspended for 6 games in 2023 for betting on non-NFL games while at a league facility. His suspension was later reduced after the NFL revised its gambling policy. In total, approximately 10 players have been suspended for gambling violations since 2022. Now, compare those cases to Brendan Sorsby's. Ridley bet on NFL games as a professional athlete. He got a year. Isaiah Rodgers bet on NFL games as a professional athlete. He got roughly a year. Jamison Williams bet on non-NFL sports at a team facility. He got 6 games. Later reduced. Sorsby bet on college games while he was a college student. He admitted to a gambling addiction. He completed a treatment program. He was not a professional athlete. He never had access to insider NFL information. He never bet on an NFL game. And the NFL's response? Not a suspension. Not a fine. Not a probationary entry with conditions attached. They simply refused to even hold a draft for him. They closed the entire door. The punishment is disproportionate. And the message is clear. The NFL doesn't care about the morality of gambling. They care about controlling the narrative. They will happily take billions from gambling companies. They will happily let their fans lose their savings on same-game parlays. But the moment a player, especially a player who isn't a franchise-altering talent, gets caught doing the same thing the league is marketing, he becomes the example. He becomes the message. He gets thrown to the wolves so the league can stand on a podium and say, "See, we protect the integrity of the game." And let's not pretend the NFL's decision wasn't influenced by Sorsby's talent level. Paul Finebaum said the quiet part out loud on ESPN. "I think the one thing we're forgetting is this is not Arch Manning. This guy has potential. But he, at this moment in time, is not great. That should have nothing to do with the ultimate decision. But I think it probably played into it. The fact that a lot of NFL clubs weren't even sure they wanted him." Read that again. A national media personality just told you, on live television, that the NFL's decision to ban a player was partially influenced by how good that player is. If Sorsby were a generational talent, if he were Arch Manning, if he were the next Patrick Mahomes, do you really believe the NFL would have refused to hold a supplemental draft? Do you think they would have slammed the door shut without even interviewing him? Or would they have found a way to get him in the league? Slapped him with a 6-game suspension? And let him start throwing touchdowns by Thanksgiving? You already know the answer. And it makes the league's entire integrity argument collapse like a house of cards. The NFL has a long, ugly history of selective justice. This is a league that has welcomed back players convicted of domestic violence, drug offenses, and worse. Players who have been arrested for assault have served their suspensions and returned to the field. Players who have been involved in vehicular manslaughter cases have continued their careers. But a college kid with a gambling problem, a problem that the NFL's own business partners actively exploit and profit from, gets told he isn't even allowed to apply? The hypocrisy isn't just glaring, it is suffocating. The micro-betting lawsuits that hit the NFL and major sportsbooks in 2026 only make this worse. Plaintiffs are alleging that products like live, in-game prop bets are specifically designed to reinforce addictive gambling behaviors. These are the exact same products that the NFL has spent years promoting to its fan base. The league is literally being sued for contributing to gambling addiction while simultaneously punishing a player for having a gambling addiction. If you wrote this as a movie script, no one would believe it because it is too absurd. Too perfectly ironic. Brendan Sorsby made mistakes. Serious mistakes. Betting on your own team is indefensible, and he should face consequences for it. But those consequences should be proportionate, consistent, and applied within a system that has the moral authority to enforce them. The NFL does not have that moral authority. You cannot build a $17 billion empire on the backs of American sports bettors. Plaster gambling ads across every screen in the country. Partner with the very companies that facilitate addiction. And then turn around and tell a 23-year-old with a gambling problem that his issues are too closely tied to the league's core integrity interests. That is not integrity. That is a protection racket. The NFL protects its brand, its revenue streams, and its public image, not its players, not its fans, and certainly not the integrity of the game. So here's the question I want you to answer in the comments right now. And I want you to think hard about it. Does the NFL have any right, any right at all to punish players for gambling while it collects billions of dollars from the gambling industry? Or is Brendan Sorsby just the latest proof that the NFL's integrity is nothing more than a marketing slogan designed to protect the house's edge? Drop your answer below. Because this debate is far from over, and the next player who gets caught is already placing his bet. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. What do you think about today's NFL news? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with fellow football fans. And don't forget, the next big NFL story is just around the corner. We'll be back soon with more breaking news, hot takes, trade rumors, and game analysis from around the league. Until next time, stay safe, stay loud, and keep supporting your team.